Did you enjoy that?
What the fuck did I just listen to? What? I'm just imagining listeners dropping off by the second as we. Was that? It sounded like Laurel and Hardy.
No.
Was it part of Laurel? No.
No.
Because you used to have a little Laurel and
No,
Hardy.
that, Louis, was, from my research, the very first recorded Christmas song that isn't even a Christmas song.
Oh.
So it's Jingle Bells, but Jingle Bells wasn't originally a Christmas song. It was
Recorded for Thanksgiving.
Well, pretty much at that time, to cheer up the local Sunday school evening meeting. And it was called the One Horse Open Sleigh originally, not Jingle Bells. What date do you reckon that was written, Louis?
I mean, it sounds sort of around that time of like when, Lauren Hardy and like speaking films.
Before then.
Only just start, unless it was
earlier.
Was this radio, was it?
Earlier than that. It was written in 1857 by J.S. Pierpoint. And that recording is a later recording, so we've got probably a higher quality around the Edison cylinder. That was recorded in 1898.
1898.
Yeah.
Oh,
which
incidentally is your birthday.
Yeah. The first recording was in 1889.
Yep.
And then that was lost, though. Probably because it was just bad. Oh, I say lost. Probably someone just threw it away because it wasn't very good.
Okay, no, you got my interest then. So, I mean, it wasn't exactly a tune, was it? I mean, it was, but then it was more of a sketch, was it?
Well, there was talking around it, wasn't there?
Something about having a drink, wasn't having a whiskey? Did they say?
It's hard to make out what they were saying. Yeah. But yeah, could you imagine? And that was no mixing. They were just all gathered around this Edison cylinder horn, singing into it.
Oh, like an old gramophone singing to it.
130 odd years ago.
Well, I suppose it does take me. I was going to say take me back. I mean, I wasn't there myself, but it does sort of, take you back to that era and imagining.
You think like 23 odd years before the Titanic sunk. That was we just heard there.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned the Titanic. Because as I came into your house here to your recording studio, I passed some models of the Titanic.
Oh, nice.
Listeners, rock and roll indie musician Nigel Thomas has a rock and roll hobby and interest, which is the Titanic. Tell us about that.
Tell us about the Titanic. Well, I've always If are you that interested in this?
No, but I think it's funny that you're a rock star who's into the Titanic.
Well, it's an interesting subject, I think. Not just the Titanic, but White Star Line in general. When I was about 6 or 7, my brother came home from school and he'd learnt a song about the Titanic, and I heard the song and I listened to it, and I really got into it.
Oh, so it was music that got you into the Titanic?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that ties in with this podcast then.
Yeah, it ties in nicely, doesn't it?
Because some would say it's a bit of a morbid thing to follow, really. Like, it was a disaster, loads of people died, loads of people drowned, horrible, cold, wet deaths.
Well, that's it. What is the fascination with it? Is it the fact it was on its maiden voyage and that it was, people called it unsinkable?
Why don't you just follow the P&O ferry that sort of...
The P&O ferry?
That killed no one. Just every day pops out over France and back.
The Herald of Free Enterprise.
Oh, you do?
Was a ferry that had just been taken over by P&O ferries, and that sunk in was it 87?
Oh, so you have an encyclopedic knowledge of...
I have knowledge. I have marine knowledge. I have maritime knowledge. Yeah.
Oh, that's a quote for the back of your next album. Nigel Thomas, rock star, says, "I have marine knowledge."
Louis, I'm not going to apologise for knowing things. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing, Louis.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you do also have a good music knowledge, I'll give you that. And as it turns out, now, having researched, the knowledge of early Christmas carols.
So there was actually some debate about one of the songs that was played when the Titanic was sinking. I
heard is that was just like one of the movies, the director thought that was a good idea, and now it's become part of folklore.
No. I mean, a lot of people, well, some survivors said they heard the band playing Nearer My God to Thee. Okay. And other people say, well, they probably didn't, because you don't want a song if the music they played was to cheer people up and to try and distract.
I don't know that
tune.
What is that tune? Nearer My God to Thee.
Nearer my God to Thee, nearer to Thee.
Okay.
Roughly.
Like
but you'd think the band wouldn't play such a sad, You're all about to die. Everyone's about. You're all about to see God.
Listen about singing.
Well, yeah.
Chestnuts roasting on the. That's why you want something warmy, don't you? Row, row, row your boat.
Anyway, that's the Titanic fact of the day. That there is
another one, same time tomorrow on Music Natters with Nigel Thomas.
Titanic facts. Do you have any questions about the Titanic you'd like to ask me?
It's got a sister ship, doesn't it?
Nope.
No.
2 sister ships, Louis.
Oh, burn. And
Olympic
you've been to the
and
museum
Britannic.
in the Northern Ireland for a bit, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it was built.
Well, they weren't very
Stayed
good
in-
shipbuilders, were they?
Well,
I'd want my
as
money
they
back.
say in Northern Ireland, she was fine when she left here.
You had one job. I mean, literally, the boat has one job: stay afloat, get us to America.
And if you're going to be
It did
slightly,
neither.
if you're going to be slightly racist,
Yeah.
you could say built by Irishmen, sunk by an Englishman. That's
That's right. Anglo-Irish
which is-
musician
which is-
Nigel Thomas,
which is racist.
who only stop classifying yourself as an Anglo-Irish when Brexit happened, so you get a European passport, so you could tour around Europe. Am I right?
I can tour around Europe, yeah, if I like.
Yes, but exactly.
I could be mayor of a
plastic
village
paddy.
anywhere in Europe.
It's what they say in Ireland about you.
Right?
That's an English person pretending to be Irish. A plastic paddy.
I'm not pretending to be Irish.
How many grandparents? You got a grandparent? Or
My
something?
mum is Irish.
Is she?
I have an Irish passport.
Okay.
I'm an Irish citizen. I know you're deeply jealous.
I am jealous.
'Cause
Yeah.
you have to queue. You have to queue at the airport.
Around time of Brexit, I went over. My Irish girlfriend was over visiting her, and there was
You were over visiting her. That sounds like you were sick of visiting her.
I
I was over visiting her.
I was in Ireland for the first time in my life, visiting and visiting her parents, and then a friend of hers happened to also be there and going out with his new Irish girlfriend, and then they set up like this man date because the two girls, they were often a girls' night out.
Yeah.
So they said, you guys, boyfriends, go and hang out with each other. Never met him, and we sat there in the Whiskey Museum in Dublin.
Yeah.
And it was the midst of like Brexit was just kicking off, and we're both going, oh, we should just like marry our Irish girlfriends and get European passports. And he is. And years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think just for the passport.
So when are you going to get married?
Possibly never.
Oh.
Actually, discussion was had this afternoon, but she was talking to my mum about it and saying she doesn't believe in.
She was talking to your mum about it.
Yeah, I don't know how it came up around the.
Your girlfriend was talking to your mum about your getting married.
About us not getting married.
Right.
Because...
Your mum was presumably advising her off it.
Exactly, I know what he's like. I know his bad habits. It was just after my mum had told me off for picking.
I mean, I'm sure she'd be delighted to have you taken off her hands, but
anyway, she doesn't think. Well, it's a good point, isn't it? Marriage in the olden times was like the father handing over the daughter to the husband, and how
giving away the
sexist
property.
Is that. Yeah, like property, exactly. So
Yeah.
she's not up for it for that.
Just because of that. Because of historical conventions.
Yeah.
You need to tell her to live in the future. It's not that anymore.
Yeah. You had quite a traditional wedding, though. I mean, music was played.
Music was played. Yes.
I feel like to bring us back to the subject of this music, Natter. Have we talked enough about that recording? I'm just all right. Now that I've heard about it, I like it. You changed my mind. At first, I thought, "What the hell?" But okay, that is actually interesting.
Well, it's a good way to start the podcast, isn't
The
it?
first
the earliest
ever
recording.
Christmas Carol, and it was Jingle Bells, which is still the most famous. So it's like sometimes the oldies are the goodies, aren't they?
The first Christmas song that wasn't written about Christmas and isn't Christmassy.
Oh wait, hang on, that's backtracking. The first Christmas song that
it is a Christmas song now, but it wasn't originally written as a Christmas song.
Well, that changes everything, doesn't it?
Apparently, Mariah Carey's all.
I know what you're going to say now. You're going to say this is not an old tune. The Mariah Carey one. Is this right?
No,
look at me.
No, Mariah.
Because I'm like,
what am I going to say, Louis? Come on, preempt me.
Have I got this wrong? What I heard is the Mariah Carey one. It sounds like a really old Christmas tune that's been around forever.
All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yeah. But actually, it's a contemporary tune.
How old do you think that is?
Well, it sounds like it should be 100 years old, but apparently, or no, not hundreds, but maybe since.
No, it's contemporary. She wrote it in sort of 15 minutes.
She wrote it,
and she's been raking it in ever since.
Now, isn't that the dream as a musician? That's what I heard. The dream as a musician is to do a successful Christmas tune, and then you can retire on it,
loads of cash.
Yeah.
You think Slade and
exactly how much they.
You know, what I miss
Go on.
You know what I miss? The Gary Glitter Christmas song. You can't listen to it anymore, can you? You're not, because he's
what was the Gary
he's
Glitter
the hideously evil and nasty, horrific paedophile, and it annoys me. You know, I have the same.
Was it a good tune? Put it
Oh,
on next.
I'm trying
Put it
to.
on now. Go on.
No.
I don't. Have I? Do I know it? I must know it. Is
You
it
probably
really
do know it.
well-known one.
Yeah, we'll listen to it privately. And I don't mean in
Come
a
on,
weird
come
way.
on, come on.
That's not
come
a Christmas
on,
song, is it?
Come on.
No,
come
I mean,
on, come on.
it's a Christmas song, and I used to listen to it when I was in childhood, so I associate it with childhood things. And he didn't write, the writer, he didn't write it, he just sung it.
Are you
so
aware of what you're saying?
the writer of
Dear
it,
listener, Nigel Thomas is saying he misses paedophile Gary Glitter.
that's not what I'm saying, is it, Louis? That's
Your
not what
words.
I'm saying I miss a song. So,
Speaking of which, you're a lovely Christmas jumper, that looks like.
thank you very much.
Sort of thing a Gary Glitter fan would wear.
That's an odd thing to say, Louis. That's an odd thing to say.
Come sit on my lap.
I'm going to use that as
Christmas.
I'm going to edit.
That's going to be
you
the jingle.
talking
for
like this. I'm going to edit that with this Gary Glitter stuff you're talking about.
Music Natters.
Come sit on my lap.
Go on, play a tune.
Anyway, I think it's sad when you can't listen to things anymore because people turn out to be sinister paedophiles.
Well, this is a question, isn't it? Because, like, can have we talked about this before?
yeah, we did. We have brushed against it, haven't we?
Can art stand up and say
Brushed against it.
All right, well, let's not repeat ourselves then. Well, what's the next? What's
The same
next
like Kevin Spacey. Such a good actor.
I did like American Beauty.
But he hasn't, Michael Jackson, never done in
People
a courtroom.
think about Michael Jackson though. People forgive him because his music was so
Well,
good.
if you're good enough, you get forgiven,
if you're
don't
good
you?
enough, people are like, well, yeah, which it's not really fair on Gary Glitter.
If it turned out that Paul
Is
McCartney
it?
was a bit dodgy,
People would-
you'd let them
yeah.
off. And like Led Zeppelin, it was the 70s. They didn't know how young those girls were.
Oh, is that a thing? Is it?
Yeah. Different times. It's time for another song, Louis. It is time for another song. Let me know what you think about this song, Louis.